Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you
Likewise,
about
Sarah.
this incredible documentary, Rebel Dread. Maybe for people who don't know anything about it, can you give us, a little insight? What can they expect if they watch your film?
Oh man, that's cruel. That's what you're supposed to tell them. I just spilled my guts for this thing, which was a very uncomfortable situation, believe me. And now I'm out here having to promote it. And I'm not used to having the light shone on me. I'm normally talking about things that I've done, projects that I've just finished, films or whatever. So, this film was made about 3 years ago. And because of COVID, it's been put on the shelf. But I guess it explores my cultural journey up until this point. And for whatever reason, X amount of people decided that, it was worth sticking up on a big screen. I did tell them they were crazy, trust me.
And why now, in a way? Because obviously there's so many points.
Because they asked. Because they asked. And to be quite honest with you, I was quite flattered that anybody was vaguely interested. I'm as old as rock and roll, man. I'm 66 years old. So, and also it keeps a foot in the door, doesn't it? It helps with the old, what did they call it? Brand recognition.
But I also wondered if perhaps it does feel quite timely. I mean, I think we're in an era right now, maybe it's also to do with the pandemic, that everyone's feeling quite reflective, quite nostalgic. And then, of course,
that's the bit I don't like. I like to talk about stuff you're as good as what you're doing, not as what you've done. And I think that you've hit it on the head. It's talking about stuff that's in the past. And I guess that's only helpful if it can show you a way forward. And if it could go some way to doing that, then I can live with it,
But it also feels like maybe a lot of the themes that come up in the film, because, of course, it's about your life, your career, your experiences, but at the same time, it's also a history of life in the UK, life as a British man in the UK, London.
Yeah, I think you're right. When I line it all up, I think it is a testament to the power of culture to unite the people. And out of that unification comes all this creativity that makes makes Britain great. I believe that, I firmly believe it's that multicultural mix and embracing that'll make this country great again,
And do you feel
it's made me who I am. I'm a product of all that stuff. As I told you, I was born in 1956 and grew up with all these different style-driven subcultures in a time when that's all we had to express ourselves and find our sort of like-minded tribes. And we became very good at it, didn't we?
Because when you're talking about nostalgia, I don't know.
Oh, don't talk about nostalgia. Go on.
But when you, for the very beginning of the film, just sort of explaining, giving us a feel for what it was like, the scene was like in Brixton, and kind of everyone just sort of got on, and this is amazing, like mixing pot of everyone just like with all the different cultures, but everyone having a good time, and how, I
think that's another sort of interesting thing, is that before politics came into the mix, we were all like these misfits that were just thrown together and left to our own devices. We kind of worked things out. It was only when politicians started playing us off against each other that things got problematic. But left to our own devices. That's the way I remember it growing up in the sort of 60s and early 70s. It did start to go a bit pear-shaped as we entered the 70s, it has to be said. But in times of sort of economic and political, they're always looking for excuses and people to blame. And in time-honored tradition, we were the front line of attack.
And do you feel like we're almost in another of those moments now that, like
there.
politics
I mean, that's
is dividing
another thing.
us?
It's interesting. Another reason that I'm freaked out about doing all this promo is that I had a book out last year called There and Black Again. And basically that was supposed to come out earlier, and because of COVID, these two things have overlapped. So the title of that book was sort of saying exactly that through all this cultural stuff that I've been through, that still seems to be the main topic of conversation. I've gone through my life trying not to be defined by my color. But it's almost like they won't let you, you know what I mean? And while everyone's been arguing about black and white, I've been trying to revel in life's color, you know?
And can you tell us
see
a
the
bit?
beauty, and, you know, see the beauty and understanding our differences, not in us all trying to be the same, you know?
And
I mean, that's what it is. That's what it's a film about. It's a testament to the power of culture to unite the people and make the world a better place. Look, I'm having to plug my own movie. Horrible.
And tell us a bit about, you know, the process of making it, because it's got this
Horrible,
amazing...
painful. It was like going to a psychologist or whatever, you know, therapist. Because I tell you what I didn't realize through, again, doing this book and this film, is that, you know, people I've come to, you know, I guess I do a lot of stuff. I have to admit, I own that. I do a lot of things. And I've realized it's a coping mechanism. It's a way to stop me having to deal with anything that's deeply personal, you know, i.e. what's going on in here. Instead of dealing with what's going on in my head, I throw myself into a project. So it's, what do you call that? It's a, what do you call it? Avoidance tactic, what is it?
Procrastinating? I don't know. No,
it's not procrastinating. It's avoiding the harsh reality of who I am. Getting lost in somebody else's story.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very deep about the superficial and superficial about the deep, and that's the way I like it. And having the spotlight shone on me breaks that line.
But I think the fact that it's quite this conversational style of you narrating to the camera, you know, where other documentaries maybe are a bit more stiff and a bit more formal.
And also, I got to tell you, it's nearly 3 years old. I mean, I don't even look like that guy on the screen anymore. I've done a lot of goddamn living since then. And not only have I done that, so have we all and the world. You know, Black Lives Matters happened since. Apparently the world's woken up. COVID, you know. I literally, like I say, I don't even recognize that guy. It's like, whoa. And also, you know, they kind of, what is it, legend and here, you know, all this stuff is like, whoa. I can't reconcile the two. You know, when I'm sitting at home hustling and doing my little thing like we all do, yeah, it's a strange one. And I don't think it's a healthy thing to kind of examine yourself too much. Others should do that. You know, it's not good for your soul, man.
And what about going back and going through all your own, because a lot of it's your own footage that you filmed,
Most of it,
your pictures. Yeah. So, you know, what was that process like for you? And seeing that all up on the screen, was that like a pretty amazing moment?
I guess I've got to own that I've had a pretty interesting... I tell you what, I've come to the conclusion that people keep going on about Donlets or this and that. I realize that the only discerning talent I've got really is having good taste. But in the 21st century, apparently, that's some serious currency.
And it's really great also hearing from the other interviewees, so all these other people in your life, and hearing their reflections. And I like the fact that there's no filter on a lot of it.
Yeah, that's natural order. When other people are doing it, that's how things are supposed to be. But me doing it myself, oh.
And are there any like particular highlights in the film that you think...
when it finished. When the film finished was a highlight for me. Because I'll tell you another thing, is when I saw it, I watched it once and I don't think I can face it again. It made me feel like I was dead. I don't know, I just felt like it would just have this
like a tribute
to it. But here I am. Here I am in the 21st century, rocking and rolling with the rest of y'all, and I'm still working on new stuff. Like I say, it's kind of, you know, behind me. Donlet's done, you know, like, you know, we've all done a lot of living in the last 3 years, haven't we? You know, and like I said, I literally don't even look like that guy anymore.
And what do you hope that people will take away from watching it? Because I was thinking there's so many mentions from yourself, but also from other people about how kind of bold you were, and this idea that, you know, maybe as a Black kid growing up in the UK in that time, no one was going to back you or support you. If you wanted to do something, you had to go and do it. And I felt like that's a quite inspiring message, actually.
I think maybe, you know, if I could maybe pass on a bit of that punk rock attitude and spirit that made me who I am, And folks, I'm not talking about safety pins and mohawks, right? I'm talking about an attitude and a spirit that can inform whatever you do. Not even just music, you know. And I think once people understand that, they'll dig the fact that that spirit and that punk rock thing isn't something to look back on, it's something to look forward to. All you need is a good idea and a motivation. That's, you know, and I think that punk rock spirit, you're going to need it in the coming years, really.
And
it'll serve you well. It served me well. It still does on a day-to-day basis. I'm still turning problems into assets, using what I got to get what I need. And I still believe a good idea attempted is better than a bad idea perfected. I think I said that in the film. I sure hope I did.
I think it's really interesting to go back as well and look at how the music scene kind of, you know, formed, and how it was all these different countercultures, which also have like a common thread. Like, do you really think that we have that as much today? I think sometimes people like to label things punk rock, but are they really punk rock?
I'm of the vinyl generation. I grew up with an analog attitude, but you've got to understand, in the last half of the 20th century, it's all we had was the music that we listened to. That was the only form of alternative information and inspiration. So it was, you know, it was actually vital. It was like the air we breathed. It was like the blood in our veins. And it kind of helped you. It was kind of a tool for social and personal change. It helped me to be certainly who I am. It educated me, gave me, you know, broadened my, you know, vision of the world and the possibilities. And I think people have forgotten that music can do that. You know, I mean, I guess it's hard to believe that when you see it being used as a tool for, what is it, as a sort of a soundtrack for passive consumerism. But I grew up in music that helped you to engage with your fellow man in the world, you know. And it sounds kind of naive now, but it can do that, you know.
I think I'm almost out of time, but yeah, so just quickly tell us the stuff that you're working on
now
in this book.
For you. I was going to say, I grew up listening to music that was about changing your mind, not your sneakers. Sorry, go on.
Just quickly tell us about the projects that you're working on now, and you know, this book.
Well, I'm still DJing. I'm still DJing up and down the country. Catch me if you can. I've got a show on BBC Six Music every Sunday night. What else? And I've just finished my first solo album with a gentleman called Youth and Gaudi, which I'm really pleased with. That's what Don Letts did in COVID. Can't sit still. So I made an album, yeah.
Well,
nobody asked me to, but I did it anyway.
I just sat on my bum, so you did a lot better than me.
You can, yeah. Well, I haven't got to say anything. All right, that's it. Yeah, good.
It's been amazing to chat to you. Thank you so much. Can't wait for everyone else to see this amazing documentary, and of course, your future projects.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much
Thanks.
for your time.
Lovely to speak to you.
Bye.
Thanks, Don.
Bye.
Bye.